When President William Ruto took the stage on the COP27 on Monday, he pointed out that the whole world is reeling from staggering impact of climate change. The spread, scale, and frequency of disasters like hurricanes, typhoons, wildfires, and heat waves, melting sea ice and glaciers, droughts and desertification, floods and rising sea levels has been witnessed in numerous regions of all continents. As a result of climate change, the Horn of Africa region, including Kenya, is experiencing the worst drought in 40 years. 2 consecutive years without rain has seen over 4 million Kenyans affected with a drought that has also spread to areas that are not the traditional arid and semi-arid lands, popularly known as ASAL regions. Over 900,000 children and over 130,000 pregnant and lactating mothers have been reported to be malnourished. Unfortunately, the effects of climate change have not spared livestock either. This year alone, 2.5 million livestock in Kenya have died, causing economic losses of more than 182 trillion Kenya shillings. It is for these and other reasons that the COP, meaning Conference of the Parties, was initiated to address climate change across the world. Let us take a closer look into COP27.
President William Ruto has affirmed Kenya's position to implementing policies that protect the climate. Speaking on Tuesday at State House, Ruto noted that although developed nations have depleted their hydrocarbon resources, which has in turn contributed negatively to climate change, Kenya and other African nations should not go that route of exploiting hydrocarbon resources, but rather focus on renewable and green energy.
This is the man I want to talk to.
President William Ruto, who is the chair of the Committee of African Heads of State and Government on Climate Change, on Monday delivered an impressive speech at the COP27 conference in Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt, urging leaders to lead the way in preserving the planet.
COP26 established the Glasgow Dialogue to formulate funding arrangements for measures to prevent, mitigate, and remedy loss and damage associated with adverse effects of climate change. Loss and damage is not an abstract topic of endless dialogue. It is our daily experience and the living nightmare of millions of Kenyans and hundreds of millions of Africans. A phenomenon of rising water levels in Rift Valley lakes was experienced in Kenya in 2020 and generated humanitarian crisis of unprecedented levels.
President Ruto also signed an agreement with UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak to fast-track 6 projects worth 500 billion shillings to accelerate the flow of climate finance into Kenya, and witnessed the signing of an agreement with Fortescue Future Industries to fast-track the development of affordable green fertilizer. Since 2015, under the legally binding Paris Agreement Treaty, almost all countries in the world have committed to keep the rise in global average temperatures to well below 2 degrees Celsius and ideally 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels. To strengthen the ability to adapt to climate change and build resilience and align finance flows with a pathway towards low greenhouse gas emissions and climate resilient development. The COP Conference of the Parties is an annual event which began in 1992 that brings together world leaders to agree on how to jointly address climate change and its impacts. Governments participating in the COP have signed the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, UNFCCC, the Kyoto Protocol, or the Paris Agreement. This year marks the 27th annual climate meeting, hence COP27. COP28 will be held in the United Arab Emirates, UAE, in 2023.